All right. Review for today, Thursday, January 29th. And just finished watching the tape. So let's go over this really quick. I already did my review, but I'm just going to do the video review really quick. So, um, first mistake, there are a few mistakes that I made today. And I'm not feeling very well, low energy, slept, and didn't even have energy to go exercise, which is what I always do in the morning. And I was literally in bed 10 minutes into the open. And I come and sort of like stroll over to the computer with no sense of, you know, not feeling activated or anything. And sort of just, we've had a couple of like thin tapes that even though thin means like easy manipulated, um, they've actually been quite easy to trade, especially the day before yesterday. Yesterday, not that easy, but still. Um, and I just came in expecting that, oh, I'm just gonna, fade volume here, fade volume there, trade the consolidations little by little and make my money, which is what I've been doing. And this was completely detached from reality because at the same time, I do remember commenting on Discord that we had been basically melting up for 3 days. And then we got our first like sort of red day yesterday. I'm not sure if I, you know, comment, texted this or not, but I certainly knew this because I I even drew this trend line as okay, we're making lower highs, we made it up there. I've been saying it since yesterday, right? Like we're trading into basically these are all-time highs and just top a really, we're it's unsustainable. I knew, even though we got yesterday, we got um, good earnings on all of them, Microsoft and Meta and the other one, what is it, Tesla, and still we're getting, just looking weak and it's looking like it's rolling over, and into the open we're actually trading below VWAP. So, um, and not just that, but also I also mentioned like all markets are extremely extended, right? Obviously, the obvious one, which is gold, which is, you know, this is, I mean, if this was already, and I said it yesterday, this was already, I was saying like, wow, 300 points that this is a short, and it fucking reclaimed and then did, and the same move, basically the same 300-point move that was unprecedented. They did it here today, historic, right? Everybody's talking about it. So, um, but it's like, wow, it can't happen three times. Like this is, it was due for a flush. It doesn't mean that the move is over. This thing, look how it's bouncing. This is a V-shaped bounce. It's probably going to reclaim and keep going. But this was bound to happen, right? So we have this happening in gold. We have it happening obviously in silver. We have it happening everything, even oil, which is sort of like, you know, it's moving for up for different reasons. We kind of like blew off, hard there going into the open, and of course parabolic, then I had to give it back. So I kind of knew, and I commented on this, and I knew that everything was most likely we were going to get a pretty, a move to the downside on everything. And so if that's the comment that I make, why am I not listening to myself? Like, why am I not, when you say something like that, it means that you you better be game planning and you better be prepared for volatility. You also said it yesterday, again on Discord. And this is one of the reasons why it's important that there is a group or a team where there's discussion, because if I'm not texting with anybody, I'm not even thinking about this shit and I miss it all. But because emitting opinions over what's going on and whatnot, that articulates it, it puts it out there, it puts it in my mind. It's important, right? So that's one of the reasons why we do it. And I'll get into that in a minute because this review will also touch on that, Luca, because it's important. So about team dynamics. So anyways, the point is, if I mentioned also yesterday on chat, and I remember this saying, we've had a thin tape for a few days. We got the FOMC rate decision, which ended up being what was priced in. And then I said, starting tomorrow, we should be seeing some um, some real volume and some liquidity for a change with some direction. So having said that yesterday and then coming in today and saying we're most likely going to get a move to the downside, why aren't you prepared for that fucking move to the downside? And why aren't you prepared for volatility? You know that there will be volatility because we are up and like at unsustainable levels, and we know that we're ready to start breaking down. And when that happens, we get volatility and we get liquidation and we get capitulation. So um, coming in that low energy state and thinking that I'm just going to make a few bucks here, you know, fading the volume at the bottom and the top of the range like I've been doing the past 2 days, without taking into account all these things that I have already articulated going into the day, is a sign of just other things that are not well, not in place. And well, I have to look into that. What the fuck is wrong with me? Why was I in, why am I in such a low energy state? And why was I feeling like sluggish? And why could I not concentrate? The other, so, okay, that's that. So going over the tape, and I'm going to include some tape footage here, I guess, so you can watch it, Luca, is so I wrote in my journal before I watched the tape, and I even commented on the Discord. I was like, "Well, this is, I'm president. I've never seen shit like this. The tape is wild," which is true. It was wild compared to what we've been trading the past few days or the past week, I guess. Um, but I'm going over the tape right now, and yes, it was a little bit on the wild side, but it was nothing unmanageable. It really wasn't anything unmanageable. It was just, we're back to real momentum. We haven't had real momentum in a long time, but I've traded days like these. And the thing is that I was in such a fog, um, sort of, that I was completely overwhelmed, and I obviously, had no connection whatsoever with the tape. Was not reading it well at all. And then, if here, for example, when we break here below this level here, the 26,080s, which I had it marked here, by the way, this is real momentum to the downside. And I kept trying to fade these flushes. So obviously I was just overwhelmed and I couldn't even see what was happening. And that's why I felt like this was super wild tape, but it wasn't. Here's the other thing that mistake that I made. That's actually, it's pretty unacceptable. I had that level marked here, 26,080s, from, I don't know, maybe from a day ago or 2 days ago, from when we had this consolidation here. Um, that we broke. We were flat topping here, and then we got this breakout here. That was an important level, and there was a huge look at the volume profile there. That was a really important level, right? So, and I had it there marked. I didn't even take the time to zoom out and have a look at, okay, what are the important levels here today? So when we were approaching that area, um, I should have been prepared to trade off of that area because I knew how important it was. And it doesn't really show here on the chart, but it does show on the tape where we actually did get when it broke here below the 100 level and flushed into the 26080s, we got what I call a dynamic range expansion. We got real, soaking action there, and we got a sizable bounce from the low 80s, into, okay, so like 20 points, which is enough for these scalps, right? But it's not so much about the range of the move, it's about the safety of actually seeing that on the tape and knowing that that's the bottom that you can buy. I wasn't prepared for that, so I didn't take that. And then when we do flush and break below that level, then if we know our levels, we know that the next stop is going to be down here in the 26,000 area, which is exactly where it turned, like pretty much on a dime. And again, if you know your levels and you know where you are in the chart, where you are in thing, you don't try to get in front of this, trying to fade this, right? You actually know to get short and to hold that shit all the way into exhaustion. And the same here when we're breaking the level, the important level here was the 130s because that was the bottom of this range here, and this is where we had soaking action here, and the opening range was like in the 120s. When we flush into the 120s, when we take out that level, you need to know, and that at that moment you need to flip short, especially when we're taking out the 100s, and understand that we're going to go down. Um, Sorry, especially when you take out the bottom of the range, this is 130s, 110s, and we're going to go down until at least until that area in the 080. So if you don't know your levels, then of course you're lost and you're overwhelmed, and that's what happened to me today. But as we're going to see here on the tape right now, it was actually not that difficult to trade. Um, the other comments still stand, like on a day like today. It is very helpful to have a 1 minute a 1 minute chart open, and to when we have real momentum, it is, and I stand by those things again. Not that important if we actually have a good read on the tape, but and then still, we have real volatility, size down, and pull up that 1 minute chart, and then make sure that because you could be holding this on the break here of the bottom of the opening range here in the 120s, and literally hold all this thing all the way down into the low 900s because it never even attempted to breach that 10 EMA on a 1 minute. So you could have held a core from here all the way down to here, and it would have been not that difficult to do. So let's go and have a look at the tape really quick. So we have, so we're 3 seconds here before the open. And let me pause it there for a second. Okay, so we're getting a flush here into the low 120s, by the way. So we already had flush here and flush here into the 130s with volume here. And this is the first sign that this is going to be a capitulation day. We immediately flushed below those levels, and then we bounce. Okay, that's fine, but that should be a sign that we're already like wicking down way below the pre-market range, or the initial balance is what they call it in future. So that's super important, and that's a sign. So here, as always, I was waiting for the tape. Still, there's no dynamic range on the tape. There's no difference in fast or slow. It's difficult to read, so I'm waiting for the tape to kind of like start stalling, so I can catch where the areas are. So that trade there, for example, that short there was random. And I take it off. We haven't really seen a little burst of speed yet to tell us that we can trade against it. This is the first one here. So I should have gotten long there, and I didn't. Actually, I'm getting in short. So, completely crazy. And then, I'm offside, like almost 20 points offside. Just kind of like irrational, completely like, not in sync with the tape. And I don't know why. Here we get another burst of speed. In this case, I took it as a bottom, and it turns out that it was top. And then I keep fighting it on the way down, trying to fade it. Again, irrational behavior. Now we're here below the 130s, and you know, I'm on the wrong side. Chased it all the way down into the teens when we have to be putting that trade off of the 130s, because here we're kind of like tracing back up into the 130s, and here is where I have to be putting on that trade. Look at the offers there. People are sizing in there, and we see the acceleration on the tape there, and that's probably where I have to be putting it now. But no, I chased it all the way down. I'm already down 860 bucks, right? My stop is 1,200, something like that. So, that's how I literally, how quickly I blew up. This case, oh wow, I can't, no, this is insane, right? So I'm still holding that short position because I didn't get out, because I'm thinking this has to come back down, and it will come back down. But I'm lucky I didn't get stopped out. So that was also insane behavior. Um, I know it's going to come back down because we're already trading below that opening range, below the 130s. So, I do that and then I pike out, right? Okay, fine. Now we're in the low 100s. And I know I'm pausing it here. I know that 100, important level, it's a whole number, but I know, and I have it marked on the chart, that the below 100, an overshoot into the 80s, the 080s, 090s, that's the sweet spot where the level is. So I should be waiting for a flush into that area. I shouldn't be even trying to do anything here yet, especially because the tape is stalled into the low 100s. We might get a little burst of speed here. It might bounce a little bit like it's doing right now. I'm trying to short. I don't know if you saw that, which is stupid after a little bounce like that. You can't be doing that, right? So that bounce was a little stronger than anticipated, but the level is yo 80s. We keep making lower highs, keeps bouncing off a little bit of that burst of speed, but it stays heavy. It's going to keep trying it again. Keeps coming back down. Now this is stupid. So I put in a long again. I long there with 3 lots because I'm using two contract lots. And that long had no sense at all. There was no burst of speed for me to be getting in there. It's just random. And then, of course, it goes against me. And I keep trying to buy the bottom there, and it keeps going against me because I'm not aware. I don't have in my head that important level that we talked about in the 080. So what I should be doing is waiting here, looking tentatively at the tape. We got into the low 90s, and we want to see a true exhaustion here with true volume capitulation. And we're already down in the 80s, but we haven't gotten that exhaustion yet. And it's still kind of heavy because it's not going to bounce until we get, boom, the exhaustion here. Into the low 80s it went. And that's where you have to be long in. It looks like I did capture a long there. So I was lucky because I wasn't even aware of that. Okay, fine. Um, there was all the other longs there. There had no rhyme or reason. I don't know why I was trying to take them. So um, now here, bam, we're getting more exhaustion, but we're breaking momentum and breaking below that 080s level. That's the most important thing. So what does that mean? It means that now we have to flip short because we got exhaustion in the 080s. It bounced, but it didn't really bounce that much. It still stayed heavy, and then it flushes right through the 080s area. Um, you can't be fading that. That would be insane. You cannot fade that. Now you're below, and this is capitulation to the downside. And if you pay attention, even though we're getting those bursts of speed on the tape, and we're getting a lot of block orders and speed on the tape stays heavy and it keeps pushing downwards. So it's clearly momentum to the downside. That's where I had to switch and find an entry to the downside. But instead of doing that, I keep trying to fade. And I fade and I take it off and then I fade here again and then trying to capture a bounce and then my thing starts the rhythmic starts failing again, so I can't get out of my position. and um and there it is, bam, more and more. It's just capitulation, and this is what real capitulation on a real momentum day with a lot of volume. This is how it looks like, and I was fighting it, and there we are. Bam, it's already my account blows up at minus 3,000. We're already just $200 away, and I'm gonna keep trying to fade this shit until it blows me out. And then if I had, instead of doing that stupid shit, if I had just known my levels and shorted that push from up from the 80s, I would be actually, you know, at this point 30 points on side, and I would have it would have been a great trade. Here I'm already blown. I already blew up the account. So it's not really that wild. That's my point. And we it keeps pushing downwards, you know, and it's going to keep doing that until we get to a level where there's going to be the real exhaustion. And in this case, I believe it's going to happen right into 26,000, obviously, because that's a key level. Again, if you know where you are in the chart as well, it kind of matters, right? So this is just pure, yeah, pure liquidation. So here, whatever. I'm not even paying attention anymore because I blew up, and then I'm just actually trying to find my account to reset it. So that's how insane that was. It wasn't really such a wild tape. That's bullshit. It was all me. Um, now let's check here really quick where this is. And then the final note here is that, well, I don't know why I have to include this in the review, but okay, we're getting a V-shaped bounce here, by the way. Let's see how far it goes. Um, but this is a 300 point move here. Uh, so yeah, well, whatever. We'll talk about team dynamics then later over chat. But that's also an important thing. It doesn't work out. This stuff doesn't work out if we, I think I mentioned this when I first met you guys and we were on a call. It's like these, um, what I think is most important is not that, oh, accountability, all that crap, and oh, you do the reviews. I mean, I don't need anybody to force me to do the reviews. I'll do my fucking reviews all the time. And I don't, that's not what I need. It's the day to day, the trading during, the having, like, there's no value if we are not, if I'm just trading by myself and you're just trading by yourself, and then you send a review. Oh, I did this, I did that, and you whatever you were doing, and you went into your own little world and you traded your stuff. Then why is it? Then where's the value? Um, yeah, of course, there's value. You're sharing your review. I'm sharing mine. I give you my feedback. You're trading. You're taking shitty trades, whatever it is. Okay, but I guess there's more value there for you than for me. Okay, there's value for me because it forces me to make the review, so you see mine as well, and then I articulate things in my head. Okay, that's all. There's also value in that, but the value is not in that. The value is in you know in having somebody there that's telling me if I forgot something. Hey, um, these are the levels. Oh, we talked about this earlier. Or even the fact that I articulated something, I said it to you. This is what I'm expecting. If we are there in just connected and talking about it, I'm not gonna um, just diverge from my game plan because I'm forced to be locked in because I'm engaged in the market and I'm engaged with somebody else. So doesn't matter. It's like when you mentioned one like, oh, I don't, I want to bring value. You don't have to be thinking about you want to bring value. Your comments don't have to be on point or not on point. It's just the fact that there's a discussion there that elicits ideas. You say something that's not correct and whatever, and then I say I think you're wrong for this and this. Um, or maybe you'll say something that is right and then fine, the value is the same. Whether, and I'm not expecting you to be like, oh, put out an idea that's like, oh wow, he's right, and then we all make a great trade. No, it's just the fact. It's just the constant exchange of ideas and exchange of views on the market and what's happening in real time while we're trading. That's where the value is created. And if you can't do that, then where is the value? Then why, it's not, um, it's not worth it. That's why I said I'm not going to do the calls anymore, because then it's also on top of that. Then there's like chit chat in the middle of me of an important move, and there's like chit chat about other things. Okay, um, we don't have to be on a call, but then okay, so we have that. I'm constantly typing in ideas, whether it's right in the middle of the session or even, you already know this, overnight or whatever. I'm always typing in charts and stuff and what I see, what I do see, what I think. And that is what makes collaboration valuable. But um, if in the heat of things, when it matters the most, um, everybody goes their own way, then um, the value of trading in a team disappears. So I don't know how to explain that better. I mean, maybe I'll find better words, but that's sort of it's sort of the problem here, right? And it's not cool every time we go on a review and then it's like I'm stuck in there, like getting all chopped up in something that I'm trading, and then I see your review and it's like, oh, I was trading gold and I caught this, and I caught this really great setup here, perfect VPOC for a breakout, and I'm like, okay, I fucking taught you that setup, and then why am I not being, why don't you do a call? Hey, this is setting up. Why are you the only one taking that trade and not? That's part of the team dynamics, right? That's the way you're supposed to trade. It's like, if it's again, it's, looking for those setups. Four eyes, two pairs of eyes is better than only one. Keeps everybody focused on what matters, all that stuff. But if we can't do that, then what's the point? Anyways, that's my review.